Hello and welcome to jasonnewland.com. My name's Jason Newland. Please only listen when you can safely close your eyes. Vinnie is sitting on my lap very comfortably, which he doesn't normally do. But the other side of the room, well, it's not far away, but it would involve getting up. There is a couple of, 4 coat hangers on the curtain rail above the window, and the window's open, and the breeze is blowing in, knocking the wooden coat hangers together. And I'm just aware of it, and I'm thinking, oh, should I move them so they don't clinker and clatter? I don't know, but at the same time I don't want to move Vinnie off, because I literally cannot remember the last time he lied on my lap like this, and it feels nice. I like it. Yeah, I don't know. It's just nice. I just feel closer to him when he does things like this. You know, because he doesn't normally do it. He really doesn't. He'd lie to the side of me, my left side, and sometimes he'll rest his chin on my leg and look at me and stuff. But to actually sit on me is, yeah, it's like something that doesn't happen. But he seems quite calm and comfortable. Oh, okay. Maybe this is what he's wanted to do all along, but he just... I don't know, when I first got him, did I say only listen when you can safely close your eyes? Hopefully. When I first got him 2.5 years ago, he did try and climb on my lap like this, and then he looked up at me and he jumped off. He just wasn't sure whether or not he didn't know if it was safe to do so, if he was allowed to do so. I don't know. And he never really attempted it again. No, I didn't fart. No, nothing weird. He just jumped off. Another thing he used to do is, when I first got him, he climbed onto the back of the sofa, and he just kind of laid down almost on my shoulders, behind my neck. That's when he first moved in here, and again, I guess that's something he used to do in the past, and then he didn't do it again. So he did it once, and then he didn't do it, you know. It's like, so I suppose there's things that he used to do that he wanted to continue doing, but maybe it just didn't work here, or it didn't feel right here. And he just seems very comfortable right now, very calm. I'm just stroking his back. Yeah. So this is Let Me Bore You to Sleep. It's Saturday the 14th of June 2025. There's no agenda for this recording. It's just me having a chat. Just having a little... Just talking, really. Yeah. I just did a little audio that I'm going to post on my podcasts to invite people to join my Facebook group, Jason Newland's Boring Group. And I thought I'd do it separately, just in a separate little 2-minute recording. Although it might have been 10 minutes, because I did waffle on a bit. Because I've been told by a few people that they were going to join my Facebook group when they heard me mention it at the beginning of a normal recording, but then they'd fall asleep and forget about it. And they didn't want to get up and, you know, go onto Facebook and all that stuff because they were lying down, which makes sense. So I thought I'd do a separate one, just in case anyone's interested. Maybe because I've got 220 members of the group, and it's taken 6 years to get that, but I did have 222, so somewhere along the line 2 people appear to have left. And if I had, like, I don't know, 62,000 people, I wouldn't notice 2 people going. But as it's only 220, and then I started thinking, why is it private? Why have I got it as a private group? But the reason really is I like to vet who joins. I don't want family or friends joining. I don't want people that I know in real life joining, because that's not the place for people. It's only really a place for, I used the word super fans in the recording that I just did. I'm doing that tongue in cheek, but people that like what I do a bit more than just maybe occasional listeners. Because I'm sure that there's thousands of people out there that maybe listen every now and then, maybe once a month. Right, thousands and thousands of people. And there's thousands of people that listen maybe once a week. And then there's a group of listeners rather, that listen very regularly, like every day. I mean, once a week's regular as well, isn't it, really? If you bear in mind that a lot of podcasts only produce recordings once a week, or maybe twice a week at the most. The fact that I do it pretty much every day is a little bit different from the norm. That's not the only thing I'm different from the norm in. He's starting to shred. His hair's falling out. I'm glad, because my hair's also falling out. Do you know what I found the other day? I was looking on my phone because I was just looking through what was I looking through? I was looking through images on my laptop that I transferred from my phone, trying to clear the memory or whatever of my phone. So I'd uploaded and transferred all my images from the last, few years really. And there was a picture of me from 2020. I photographed the top of my head. No, it was on Facebook. On Facebook, yeah. So I posted it on Facebook, a picture of the top of my head. And I put like, hello ladies, anyone want a date? Something silly like that. And I mean, that's 5 years ago. I think it was October 2020, so it's not quite 5 years yet. But it's getting on. And I'm like, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, wow, it's heading away. What is that? Do you remember Seinfeld? Remember the bloke that's kind of the star of Seinfeld? Other than, not Seinfeld, but the other bloke, the short, balding man. And he's got hair around the sides and the back, but bald on top. That's kind of where I'm heading towards. And it's weird. It's really weird, because it's, do you think I've got a thing about going bald now? Because I do seem to be talking about it a little bit. It's strange, I used to really, really believe that it wouldn't bother me. So 22 years ago, I started shaving my head. Like really crew cut, and then sometimes in 2004, I even started shaving it to the bone, completely shaving it with a wet razor. And because I'd walk around like that, yeah, people would laugh, but I'd walk around like that, and I kind of, I used to even say it out loud. Going bald don't bother me. Why would it bother me? I'm walking around bald for years. So if I went bald naturally, I don't care. Now I realise that that's not true. It's not true. It's different. One thing to shave me head, to purposely be bald, and another one to not have a choice in the matter. It's strange. I'm not like super bothered about it, to be honest. I do just talk about it. I don't care that much, but it's just weird because I used to have such thick curly hair, and it did start to recede probably late 90s. So it's a very slow process. It's like the rest of me. It's not in a hurry. No part of my body works quickly. Everything's very slow. I was going to say calculated. I don't know how calculated it is, but very slow. I walk slow, I talk slow, I eat slow. Everything is just slow, which I'm okay with. And my hair loss is slow as well. At the moment. The thing is, it's weird because I look balder when I got more hair. And that doesn't even make sense, does it? Let's explain it. What I mean is, if I took a picture of the top of my head, you could, the bald patch on the crown, is it a crown, the back of the head, it's unmistakable, it's there, someone said my solar panel, my super sexy solar panel or something. Solar panel. But then as you move up towards the forehead, or move forward towards the forehead, when it's short, it's not so noticeable. When it's longer, you can really see the gaps between the hairs. Strange. Maybe it's not strange, but I shouldn't really compare myself to my dad, but on this occasion I will, because he's got much better hair than me, and it's annoying. Honestly, my dad's got such nice hair. It's thicker, it's fluffier, it's snow white. He's got beautiful hair. It's not long, he's always had it quite short. But he's got more hair now. Well, no, I don't think he's got more hair than I've got. He's got more hair overall, but he hasn't got a patch like I have. And the hair at the front, but he's got more hair than me, pretty much, I'd say. He's probably got more hair. Damn it. And I'm like 26 years younger than him. It's not fair. Can you imagine? I never thought I'd be 54 moaning about what's fair and what's not fair, like a tiny spoilt brat, It's weird, isn't it? It's not fair. My dad shouldn't have longer hair than me. Although I do wonder how much of it's due to me having had long hair when I was younger, because I've seen a lot of people over the years that used to have long hair that ended up going bald. And I'm thinking, I mean, or at least like receding quite a lot at the front. When you think about it, there's a lot of pressure on hair, especially if you put in a ponytail. It's pulling on the roots the whole time, isn't it? So perhaps that might be the reason. I don't know. I used to have long hair. Wow. That was a decision I stuck to. I did. I think it was April 1991. I decided I'm going to grow my hair long. Or it might have been January, February time. But I decided anyway, I'm going to grow my hair long. And I did. But it was hard because, I mean, it wasn't hard. I mean, the hair grew on its own. Didn't need me to do anything. But I had to go through that period of absolute hair carnage where it was curly and sticking out everywhere, because that's what used to happen with my hair. It would just get to a certain length and it would just curl up, like remember the witch and the Wizard of Oz, the house, remember the feet. My hair used to curl up like that person's feet when they tried to get the shoe off of her feet. Remember that? Give me the slipper. You can have the slipper. Give me the slipper. That was my impression of someone who wanted a slipper. Really wanted it. She wanted that slipper, didn't she? The old witch. Was it Glinda? Glinda? Glinda. 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 Oh, she's a horrible witch. But I'm a witch. That's why all the little munchkins are laughing. But you can't be a witch. But you're beautiful. Yes, because I'm a good witch. It's memorised, isn't it? Those movies. Every year, every single year at Christmas, in my childhood period, you know, from just basically up to leaving school, that I can remember, The Wizard of Oz was on every year. And I think it was on other times of the year as well, you know, like holiday times, maybe Easter, stuff like that. And I'm going to say that possibly it was on more than once during that period as well. So maybe, yeah, it was on at Christmas, but maybe it was on more than once at Christmas during the Christmas period. But I could never get enough of it. I just loved the movie. I loved it. I really did. And there was a lot of people moaning, saying, "Oh, not Wizard of Oz again. Why can't they put on a newer movie?" Because, you know, the TV channels back in the early 80s really behind when it came to movies. You know, a movie would be released at the cinema and it would take like 7 years or something, maybe longer, to get onto the TV. It'd just be really ages. And we'd be stuck with movies from the 60s. Like Spartacus was on every single Easter, guaranteed Spartacus would be on. The Greatest Story Ever Told, the Bible, those movies. But it was the same movies every time. Probably every Christmas you'd get Planet of the Apes movies from the 60s. Ben-Hur. I mean, they were epic movies, admittedly, but they were old. I mean, it'd been over a decade since those movies. And then eventually we started getting Jaws and Star Wars and stuff that had been done in the mid-70s, late 70s. It took years. It did literally take years for a movie from a cinema to be on TV in this country. I don't know if it's the same in other countries. I don't know, because I don't live in other countries. I only live here. That's kind of an obvious statement, isn't it? I only live here. I don't know about other countries. I don't know. What's Vinnie? I have not stopped stroking him and he's loving it. Either that or he's just really annoyed and he's just putting up with it. I don't know. It's hard to tell. In a way, having him is like having a cat, size-wise, because he's not really much bigger than a large cat. And when I say large cat, I'm not talking about a puma or, lion. I'm talking about like a domestic sized cat. And there's plenty of cats I've seen that are just as big as him. Because he's only Jack Russell. He's a little doggy. And just having him on my lap like this. He's asleep, I think, as well. I sometimes wonder, he falls asleep when I'm making a recording. It's almost like he's being bored or something. Just hearing my voice, he literally struggles to keep his eyes open. Sometimes it happens when I just talk to him and I'm just having a chat with him and his eyes start to close. Almost like he just can't focus on what I'm saying because it's... I don't know, I don't really class myself as boring, but... Oh, my neighbour's got having his bathroom done next week. Another neighbour's moving out, apparently. To all go here. And I'm not having anything done to my flat. Oh, we got a phone call yesterday. And it was like, oh, are you whatever I am? And I said, yeah, hi. Didn't recognise the number. They said, oh, just to let you know, we're going to be needing access to the roof because we're going to put some kind of bird netting over the solar panels. I said, okay. I didn't say it in a rude way, but why are you telling me? Well, I said, okay, honestly, I did it in a nice way. I said, do you need access to my flat to do that? Are you going to be climbing in and, going in through the ceiling? She said, no, scaffolding, we're going to climb up. We're just letting all the tenants know that there's going to be scaffolding put in outside, and there'll be people crawl around on the roof and stuff. I said, okay. And she said, is that okay? I said, yeah, it's okay. I don't know what would happen if I said no. No, I'm not happy with that. I don't want people on the roof. Do you think they'd have stopped and just said, okay, fair enough, we won't do it then? No. She's very friendly though. It turned out she phoned other people in the building, and my neighbour across the hallway, he phoned me up because he wasn't sure what was going on. He said, there's people talking about putting scaffolding up. And I explained what it was to him, and he said, oh, okay. So, it's nice. I kind of feel that I can be helpful to him because he hasn't really had that. Really. So it's nice that just little things like that when someone phones up and wants to come and do something in the flat, or wants to do something, in the building, and they contact him, or if he gets a phone call from the bank or a bill, whatever, I can say, like, well, yeah, I can explain what it is to him. So it's pretty cool. It's good to be useful, I suppose. There's people in the garden. I hope it's not too loud. Oh, it seems to calm down now. Good. Vinnie woke up to that. He was hearing voices, and I thought, oh, here we go. Is he going to start barking? But he didn't. So it's a Saturday afternoon. It's probably, I don't know, 12:30, 12:34 p.m. And I woke up, so I went to bed. It's annoying. Okay, I'm just going to moan. So I went to bed at 10:30 last night. And I put the radio on to listen to Nick Abbott on LBC radio. And every Friday and Saturday, he does a radio show where he kind of messes around a bit, just tells jokes, and he's just silly, has phone calls, and, it's quite a light-hearted 3 hours. So he does that on a Friday and a Saturday night. On a Sunday night, he does a serious one where he talks about the world events, and he interviews people, involved in those world events. So it's a more serious show. So I don't really listen to the Sunday one so much. So I'm all settled down. I've got the app, so I put it back to 10 o'clock. So I don't have to, I'll start it again because you can play back. And the news is on, so okay, right. And when the news finishes, he starts talking about world events and then interviewing people like he does on a Sunday. I was like, oh no, really? And I thought, you know what? I know LBC is a news. It's kind of a news radio show, news radio network, and but it's more than that. And I like the idea of being able to listen to something where it doesn't focus on what's going on in the world. It's something, and I suppose it's kind of what I try and do. I don't really focus on world events or what's on the news and stuff. I just talk about random stuff, and probably, a lot of really unimportant stuff as well. It might be important to me, but not necessarily to anyone else. And it was just a little bit disappointing because I didn't want to listen to lots of serious stuff while I'm in bed. I don't personally, I don't want to do that. Old Vinnie's now is readjusting himself just so he can get a little bit more comfortable. Tortoise, a comfortable like a tortoise eating a vegetable. Some of the way people pronounce words. Vegetable, comfortable, tortoise, film. Oh, did I tell you? Oh, wow. I went outside. I might have said this yesterday. Yesterday, my neighbour was... I think Vinnie was barking, so I looked at my camera to see if anyone was at the door, and I saw shopping bags outside my neighbour's flat. And I thought, because basically he gets a delivery every week or every 2 weeks, from a friend gets him shopping, and he carries the bags up on his own. This is an 80-year-old man, you know, so I kind of, if I catch him, I try and like help him to carry the stuff up. So I go out there because I've done it a few times. I come out my front door, and I see him and the lady that delivers the stuff in her car, and I say, "Oh, all right, I'm sorry, I thought you needed help, might need some help carrying it." And the woman said, "Well, I'm not carrying anything." It's like, what? And I think on this occasion she had to knock on his door, so I think she did take something up. But normally she doesn't. She just sits in the car, doesn't get out of the car. I think she rings him or whatever, and then he goes down, talks her ears off for a bit, and then he carries the shopping up. I was like, that was really just, I don't know, it just seemed rude. And maybe it wasn't, maybe it was just me. It's like, I'm not carrying, like, I should have just said, okay, see ya. But I went, oh, I'll give you a hand then, and I went down. She literally had no intention. She wouldn't even carry it to the door for me to take it upstairs. She put it right on the floor near the car, and I had my pink flip-flops or my pink Crocs on. I didn't actually want to go outside. It was like, yeah, I don't know what was going on there. I mean, she's not old. I mean, she's probably about the same age as me, possibly. I mean, maybe she's got physical issues, she can't carry stuff that I don't know about, but it was just the whole, well, I'm not carrying anything, I'm not doing it. She didn't actually say it quite like that, but and she flicked a bogey at me. She didn't. I don't know why I did that, but yeah, that just seemed a bit unusual, a bit attitudinal. And then I took him into the park yesterday, and someone had a dog off the lead. So I'm just carrying on. It's a big dog, and I've always got Vinnie on the lead, always now, never off the lead. And he's always close to me if there's another dog around, if I don't know the dog. So I basically got a bag of poo in my hand, and I'm walking towards the bin to put the poo in the bin, and then I'm going to just carry on walking home, because that was the way home. And this person seemed to get the ump, because we were there and she was there with her dog, and she wanted to, I don't know, chuck the ball or whatever. So she went back over to the dog, put a lead on, and almost looked like she had the ump as she was pulling the dog away to a different part of the park. So I just I looked over to say hello, and she just gave me a funny look. So like, okay, fair enough. So I put the poo in the bin. I chucked the poo at her. No, I put the poo in the bin. And Vinny's looking back. So I always look where Vinny's looking, because I don't know where he's looking or what he's looking at. There might be someone that I know. So I look over, and she's letting her dog off the lead again. Just, the other side of the little park. I was like, what was the whole point of that? I mean, in reality, if the dog is dangerous, then it should be on a lead anyway, and it should have a muzzle on. Just from practical, if someone's got a brain cell, then that's what they would do, isn't it? It's kind of just to keep everyone happy, But if it's, if it's done stuff before, if it's sort of been naughty, but at the very least be on a lead. If it's not a problem, then why? That was just seemed a bit of a weird way to be acting. I don't know. Maybe it was just me. Maybe I was over-sensitive yesterday. But I keep him on a lead, not because he's aggressive. He's just... He will not do a single thing I ask him to do, or tell him to do, or order him. He won't do anything. It will not come back to me under any circumstances. So he has to stay on the lead the whole time. And it's a shame, because I used to get quite a lot of pleasure out of, chucking the ball and stuff like that, and he loved doing that. But can't do it anymore because he won't come back. And especially if there's a big dog, and he's got a habit of barking at big dogs. If that big dog's off the lead, I can't get to them. What can I do? So if he's on the lead, I can protect him if I need to. Hopefully I'll never need to, but I can keep him close. And, there's a few dogs that look like they want to put him in between a couple of slices of bread and have a little snack. Sometimes they've got that look in their eyes, like, squirrel. And I keep saying, he doesn't like it. He doesn't like being called a squirrel because he isn't a squirrel. He might be the size of a squirrel, but he's not actually a squirrel. Got the same colouring. One of those red squirrels. You ever hear people say things about squirrels? Going about, grey squirrels. Grey squirrels. Like they're somehow wrong or bad. The red squirrels are the nice ones. The grey squirrels. It's like, squirrels are squirrels, baby. They're just squirrels. It's not their fault that they were introduced and they changed the population of the squirrels. And just like, it's just nature, isn't it? If it's all red squirrels and then you introduce grey squirrels, and if the grey squirrels, bearing in mind, in this country are going to be more successful to survive because it's a very grey country, a red squirrel is going to stand out much more, especially in the winter and those times. The grey squirrel can almost kind of blend in a little bit better, because grey, and this country is quite a grey country. It's quite a grey landscape. I mean, it's colourful at times, but it's still... They obviously were more successful at surviving. And they had lots of nookie. And they kept going, and they became the majority. It's just nature, isn't it? It's just nature, it's how it works. It's not their fault, is it? They didn't ask to come here. They were invited. I don't know how they got here. Is it on boats? Because some things from other countries get here on boats, don't they? Like, I'm not talking about... I'm talking about things like budgies, maybe, I don't know, grey squirrels. So when you had people travelling the world hundreds of years ago and had come back, and maybe an elephant had kind of sneak on board, and then suddenly we had like thousands of elephants running around. That's not a good example because it's not true, is it? Trying to think of an animal that maybe we didn't used to have. Horses. Now, horses are everywhere, aren't they? Like every single country in the world seems to have horses. I was trying to think, is there an animal that's everywhere? Horses seem to be everywhere. Now, were horses, I mean, they couldn't have originally lived here. But they couldn't have originally lived everywhere. Because that, I don't know, it doesn't make sense, but then humans sort of lived everywhere. Yeah, I do wonder sometimes. Some of the history doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Oh, I think that was quite a large plane just went past. Oh, it's in the distance. That's good. I don't know why. If I'd like to be below an airport. Not below an airport, because that'd be underground, wouldn't it? But on a flight path, like a real busy flight path, like Heathrow. I mean, people do say that they get used to it after a while. You know, you just don't even notice the house shaking. How could you not notice? It's especially when there's Concorde, because that was like super boosty, wasn't it? And that's amazing. Some of the technology. Wow. Vinnie just a fly. I think it's a different fly. It can't be the same fly, because there was no fly in here until just now. Do flies sleep? I don't know. Plus, I'm wondering, because there was a fly in here, and we didn't have a fly for like 6 months. Do flies hibernate? I do wonder. I thought maybe they were a little bit like tortoises. Maybe they hibernate with tortoises. Maybe they share the same place. It's really weird the way he's just so chilled out today. Resting, relaxing. It's almost as if he's just enjoying his Saturday afternoon. No worries, no concerns, nothing to think about. He's just content to just lie there, half dozing off, half watching the fly. Eh? Bless him. Oh, I've got a couple of croissants that I can eat. I'll get them out of the freezer and stick them in the... I think I'll put them in the air fryer for a minute or two. Oh, that'll be nice. And a cup of tea. Yeah, that'll be nice. I'm going to have that. Oh, can't wait. Can you hear this? Blimey. That's a much louder plane that's gone past. I think it's the King's birthday, sorry. I think there's a King's birthday celebration coming up. But it wouldn't be today though, would it? Or it might be today, maybe it's the whole weekend. So maybe, because when there's a royal celebration, or something like D-Day, V-Day, V-Day, VD-Day, all the different days, and then the birthdays and the royal family, things like that. Does the king have 2 birthdays? Because the queen used to. So what happens is the planes travel over here. So we're part of the flyover. So fly over here towards London, and then they do the air show in London, I guess Trafalgar Square or something like that, and then they come back here. And not all of them, I think they come from different parts of the country, and then they all kind of congregate in the sky, have a chat, have a cup of coffee, and then there's another one coming. Listen. Wow, that was loud. I just hope I don't put the news on and see something's happened, you know. Please, no. Well, something's clearly going on, so there's another one coming. You ready? I can't actually see them. I can hear them, so that I think they're out of view for the looking through the window. But I do have some T-shirts on the curtain rack or the curtain rail. But I don't think. I think I must just be missing them and have to sort of stand at the window. So what's that? 3 or 4 gone past so far. Last night. Wow, we had thunder. It was really, really grumbly. It didn't, I don't know. It's just felt different. Felt like a different thunder. And there was a bit of lightning, and then it kind of went away. But it just felt, I don't know. I think the best thunder I ever had was 2003, I think it was. Maybe 2002, 2003. No, 2003. There's another one coming. You ready? Right. Last time they had planes going, I was in the park and they were on their way to London. There's another one coming now. So I was watching it in the park, because I didn't realise why there was so many people, because there's usually hardly anyone in the park. This was during the day. And there was people with cameras and looking up at the sky, and I thought, oh. So I thought to myself, well, perhaps I'll look up at the sky. Maybe that'll give you an idea what they're looking at. I could ask them, but I could just look up. I don't normally look up. Sometimes I look down. Depends where I'm going, what kind of surface I'm walking on. So I looked up, and there was all these all these planes, helicopters, the red arrows. Oh, here we go. Now, if this was, I don't know if that's how loud it would be if it lived above an airport, you know, not above an airport because that'd be on the roof, wouldn't it? But I mean, if you lived with planes going past on like a busy airport route, would it be that loud? Because it'd be hundreds of times a day. So no, I couldn't put up with that. It's too much noise. This is like a few times a year. Things I can't see where they're going because I know which direction they go if they were heading towards London, and if they're heading the opposite way, then that's a bit weird because I've not heard them travelling today, unless they travelled yesterday. But they might be travelling today for tomorrow, and they're landing, they're getting ready for tomorrow's parade for the King's birthday. But then the King's birthday might be today. That's the thing, there's no way, well, there is a way of knowing, I could just look online, but maybe that's what it is. It's the King's birthday celebration. What's weird though is you go from no sound to suddenly another one's coming. No, nothing at the moment. Went out this morning, it was raining, and Vinnie decided to spend as much time as possible finding somewhere to go to the toilet. And I was getting rained on, and I looked up again because I thought, you know what, I quite enjoyed looking up that time. I think I'll look up again. I looked up, there was hardly any clouds, mainly blue sky with a few patterns of, you know, clouds. Yeah, it was raining. So all that blue sky and the rain managed to hit me. I've never been so angry. And Vinnie was just looking at me laughing. It didn't hit him. He didn't get any rain at all. And he's I'm going to take my time today. It's a Saturday morning, no rushing. It's like, there's never any rushing, really. It's just when it's raining, I'd like you just to get it done so we can go home. Norm, I'm happy just to walk around for half an hour even, you know, if that's what he wants. But not when it's raining. Never when it's raining. I thought we had that understanding. And he said, "Can I ask you something?" I said, "What?" "Why do you keep asking me questions?" I said, "Why?" He said, "Did you not know I'm a dog? I can't speak your language." And I said, "Sorry." And I thought, wait a minute. If you can't speak my language, is it starting to rain? Again, blue sky, a little bit of cloud. I can hear raindrops. I don't understand it. It's almost like everything's going topsy-turvy. I think I can hear a plane. Oh yeah, you ready? No, I think that's just a normal plane in the sky. I mean, they're all in the sky, but I think it's just like a normal plane going past, which isn't. It's very high up, I mean. I don't even know if the microphone picked it up, but I'm guessing the microphone would have picked up the jet planes going past. It wouldn't have possibly been as loud as what it was in here for me. I don't know, maybe it was. There's no really way of knowing, is there? I need to do some washing today. So I've got to wash some of my tracksuit bottoms because I think I've got 7 pairs the same, but I need to get some new ones because these are wearing out. And And then I'm sure people think I just wear the same clothes every day. Always got, the same coloured tracksuit bottoms on. It's like, no, they're different ones. I've got 7 of them. I'd like to get some more, but I'm not sure if pink's the right colour. I like pink, but I don't know, not everyone likes pink, do they? Right, as one of the neighbours is loudly whispering in the garden. Oh dear. I don't think she could talk quietly if she was offered £1,000,000. Please, can you just talk quietly? Like, you've got £1,000,000, stand over the other side of the garden and whisper to the other person so that I can't hear you. And I'm going to stand over here and I'm going to be 100 foot away. Still couldn't do it, but guaranteed. I suppose volume control is not everyone has a volume control, do they? I guess. I think the problem, not a problem, maybe it's a problem, because I've lived in so many different places for so long, like for decades and decades of moving around. I know I've lived here for 10 years now, but decades of dealing with neighbours, decades upon decades of dealing with neighbours, and realising that actually having consideration towards neighbours is one of the most important things for any kind of a peaceful life, a peaceful existence. And those people that are inconsiderate towards others really, they don't make it easy for the rest. But then I think, am I loud? Maybe I'm loud sometimes. Possibly. Oh, here's another one. You ready? You ready? No, it's a train. That'd be weird, wouldn't it? A train going past in the sky. If I could talk, I've almost got my ears focused now on sounds in the sky. So I can hear the birds, but they're in a tree. I mean, technically the tree is in the sky, isn't it? But it's also attached to the ground, so it's not really in the sky. So if a bird's on a really tall tree on a branch, they're not really in the sky, are they? They're just further away from the ground than they would be if they were on the ground or on a lower branch. But to be in the sky, they'd actually have to be not attached to the tree. Now you could argue, well, a bird's not attached to the tree, is it? It's standing on the branch. But from an energy perspective, it's kind of attached to the tree, isn't it? As far as gravity and stuff. Not that gravity is a big issue for a bird, because they can flap their old wings, flap their flappies, and fly off. So if a tree was to fall over, the birds could. I wonder how many birds would it take. So if a tree was to fall over, how many birds would it take to keep the tree up? All kind of hanging on to the branches and flapping. Would it be possible? Like a really big tree, but let's say you could get thousands of birds all flapping at the same time. Not necessarily in unison. I mean, they don't all have to like be lifting their right wing up at the same time as each other. One could have their right wing up, one could have their left wing up. You know, it doesn't really matter, but they're flapping their wings. And, I mean, really, you're not going to notice which one's up and which one's down, because they're usually quite quick, aren't they, birds? I wonder, how many birds would it take to keep a tree? Or, how many birds would it take to lift a tree out of the ground and pull it out of the ground, even from its roots? How many birds would it take? So if you put extensions onto the branches, and maybe you put in poles and stuff like that, well, I mean, like, not poles as in the people, but some kind of thing, and you attached maybe 100,000 birds or 1,000,000 birds together and spread them out, so even if it went like miles wide and then got them to fly up, would that be able to pull a tree out? I don't know. How many babies would it take to stop a helicopter from taking off? Things like that. I'm just thinking, because, you know, or toddlers, let's say, not let's say babies, but toddlers. How many toddlers would it take to stop a helicopter from liftoff? Be thinking about it. There's got to be a number. There's got to be. I mean, there's a certain amount of weight that a helicopter won't be able to take off from. You know, I'm pretty certain if you attached an elephant to a helicopter, or 2 elephants, or 4 elephants, the helicopter's not going to be able to take off. You know, there's going to be a weight. You know, once it's going to get past a certain weight, and it won't be able to take off. So, even though and plus toddlers have a bit of strength as well. It's not just their weight. It's also, you know, they're human beings. They're like miniature. They're almost like humans, aren't they? Like small humans. So they'd have a bit of strength as well. So how many would it take? I mean, they might have to all have rope and be pulling, you know, from different angles, and maybe have the rope, have it, you know, 300 foot long, and have hundreds and hundreds of babies, thousands maybe. But I just wondered how many it would take. So that's something that Mr. Beast could do, isn't it? On YouTube. That's a video, mate, waiting to happen. I'd like some, you know, so Mr. Beast, if you're listening, if you do these tests, can I have some of the money from the video, please? Just a couple of $100,000. That's all. Not too much. Just for the idea. Because let's face it, you can then expand upon the idea and come up with some really. You come up with some silly stuff after that. How many ants would it take to cook a roast dinner? If you didn't teach them anything, if you just put the stuff on the table, you know, how long would it take before the ants figured out how to turn the oven on? And, you know, maybe 1,000 years, 1,000,000 years. I don't know. I mean, it's hard really to figure it out, isn't it? Maybe AI can do that, because something was done recently, a calculation that would have normally taken a standard computer something like 1.5 million years to calculate. But wow. So, yeah. They did a thing, there was a test where it was a game, and they let the AI figure out how to win this game. But it took, each game, lasted for, I don't know, a couple of minutes. And it worked out, after all the amount of times it took before the game figured out a way to accomplish the goal that even the people didn't know who created the game didn't know about. It took the equivalent of something like 10,000 years of playing the game over and over again before it got to, to figure out how to solve the puzzle. And that's by playing it over and over and over again millions of times. And I find that stuff fascinating, or fascinating, or fascinating. There's lots of different ways to pronounce words. Yeah, I think it is a king's birthday today. Happy birthday, King. I think he's younger than my dad. So I think the King's like 77, I think. It might be 78. I think he's 77. I think he's definitely either one or... It's not definitely, but I think he's either 1 or 2 years younger than my dad, who's 79-ish. Yeah. Ooh. It's not weird to think that realistically in the next 20 years we're going to have a King William. And what will he be? He'll be in his 60s. That's if, the king lives to be like 100 or whatever. So, mind you, they can abdicate before they don't have to sort of be in the role forever, do they? I know he's only been in a role for a couple of years, but... Someone's shouting in the garden again. Bless them. Bless them. I hope they enjoy shouting because it's fun. I was trying to think recently about maybe putting together some really long recordings. For example, a stop smoking recording that lasts for 6 hours or 8 hours, or something like that, so people could listen to it every night whilst they sleep. Or maybe doing some more courses like I used to do, helping with things like phobias and driving test issues and things like that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see, we'll see. We'll see, we'll see. We will see. Every time I tidy up, it gets messy again. just thought I'd let you know. Me. I can't believe he's been lied down here the whole time that I've been talking, and I don't know. So it's about an hour and over an hour and 10 minutes or whatever. Well, it's more than that because I did the other recording as well, which was, it was supposed to be about 30 seconds long, but it might have been a little bit longer. Just me mentioning the Facebook page. Is it wrong that I want chocolate? I want chocolate and I want it now. It's okay, I don't need to eat chocolate. So I've been going through my podcasts and updating the images. No, not update, but like making sure that they all have images and stuff. So it's like every time I start to do something like that, it's like it's a journey that never ends because it's never finished. You know, the Q&A Friday podcast, I thought it was all up to date, and then I found out there was loads of podcast episodes that didn't have images. So I'm going through searching for the images on my hard drive and then uploading them to the particular podcast, and I end up spending like an hour and a half doing that this morning. It's a... I was thinking though of putting together some kind of video on YouTube where when I talked about something, it then acted out what I talked about, like either an animation or real life kind of video, without any sound, but just the video. But I don't know, because so much of what I do is kind of not really talking about anything. But I do wonder, would it be better if I uploaded my videos in a blank screen mode, so it was a dark screen rather than an image? I don't know. It might be worth a little play just to see. It's hard to know, isn't it? It's hard to know. Well. Well. Yeah. I wonder if there's a Carry On movie on this weekend. Carry On Up the Khyber. Yeah. I think I'll always love the Carry On movies. It's almost like it's the heritage of being born in this country, to especially someone my age. Well, not to be fair, they were all, I think all of the Carry On movies, no, not all of them, they were still making them in the 70s, I think. But, you know, they started them in the 50s, then the 60s, then the 70s. And it's part of the English culture to have Carry On movies. Or British culture, I'm not sure what the correct term is, UK culture. But for, I guess, not so much maybe for younger people who, I don't know, maybe they don't know about the Carry On movies. They may do, but they might not do. I mean, it's not like, because when I was a kid there was hardly anything on TV, there was no internet, videos were like a special treat at the weekend. This is when I was in my sort of 10, 11, 12, no, 11, 12, 13 kind of time. So that was like a once a week thing on a weekend. And so it was just, I think Channel 4 came in the early 90s, early 80s, Channel 4. So before then we just had 3 channels. I think 1982 Channel 4 came out, and then Channel 5 came out in 1997. Or was it 1996? One of them. I think it was 97. So there wasn't really a huge choice. And as I said, there's no internet, there's no DVDs, there was... It was just different, I guess. I mean, there was computer games, kind of, but when I was a kid, I mean, when I was sort of quite young, 9, 10, whatever, we had a computer console, which was, I think it was tennis, and it was basically these 2 controllers with a little knob that you could just turn, and this ball would go from side to side, and you just turned, and it would move this line down and up to then knock the ball back, or just be a dot, and knock it back to the other side, and it'd be the deet, 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 like, depending on where it went. That was the last time I was any good at video games, I think. Kind of got the hang of that. It's amazing there's going to be people that maybe have never even heard of that or don't even know anything about it, which is understandable. We can't know everything, can we? And just check it out. You know, there might be a video on YouTube or something that shows you what that was like, and it was, yeah, it was state of the art though at the time. This may be late 70s, early 80s, and then Space Invaders came out, Asteroids, Pac-Man. See, those were the games I liked. Donkey Kong, things like that. I liked those games where you could just play it, a silly tune, and it'd be a score. You'd try and beat a score, and if you didn't win, you just start from scratch again. Or if you beat some levels, maybe you started from the old level, however. And for me, that was fun. I kind of couldn't really get my head around some of the games in the 90s. So I had a friend who was always into like the latest games. So he'd have the latest game consoles, whether it was Playboy, Xbox, whatever it was, he'd have it. And he'd have the latest games, and he was really into it. I mean, I remember we played, what was it, like Kung Fu, like some Mortal Kombat or whatever, when there's people fighting each other. I remember playing that, and just, there was so little control over what the person you had really did on the screen. It was just like, just basically just keep fiddling with the knob until something happens. That's what I found it to be like. And again, because perhaps I'm not because I wasn't very good at it, I just didn't like playing it because I kept losing the whole time. I was very bitter. But I think when I went to my uncle's, he was really into games and stuff. He had like really decent computers, in his basement, and he had these computer games with helicopters, and like you could control it, really nice controls, like really sophisticated stuff back then. He also had an Atari system, and I used to play on, my favourite game was the Smurfs. Do 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 do. And that was the Smurf tune, and loved it. It's just jumping over stuff, that's all it is. But I absolutely loved it. I spent hours playing on that thing. In fact, I'd do it now if I could. If I could get a Smurf game, I'm pretty sure didn't Atari come out again with those games? Atari, all like their games that had like a one console. I don't know. I'm going to look it up, I think. Have a little look. I just like the idea of playing. I did like not Star Wars, the Space Invaders. I used to like Tron. I used to play Tron in the arcade, but I was just not much good at it, really. But the Smurfs, I got okay at that. Yeah. So this is just one of those more kind of chilled out, relaxed, chilling with Vinnie recordings. Not a lot going on, really. Not really. And that's it, I think. From me. Thank you for listening. Remember to be kind to yourself, because you do deserve to be happy. And be gentle with yourself, because you also do deserve to feel safe. Lots of love. Bye.